Hello, everyone, and welcome to Empowering the Next Generation podcast. We are here to support you into igniting 360 your whole school community, as well develop leaders around you, and ultimately create meaningful connections. Today, we have an amazing speaker again who is going to talk about her framework. I want to personally introduce you to her. Her name is Anne Kyle. She's a founder and the CEO of the Leadership Beacon. She is an executive head teacher who turned into an international coach and strategist. This is amazing because she has nearly 30 years in education and she's led school turnarounds, PRUs, and SEMH settings. Through her Beacon, framework and podcast, she really equips leaders like you with clarity, confidence, and NLP informed tools to transform your school and empower your team. So, today we are going to talk about really how you can transform your school with the Beacon framework. So, welcome, Anne, on board.
Hello, lovely to be here.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us to share your expertise because I believe there are a lot of head teachers like you who are actually into leadership coaching and being a strategist coach as well, who can share their expertise and make a difference in school based on everything that you've learned over 30 years in the educational system. So I'm really cherishing this moment because you have a lot to share with this audience. So, what made you realize that it was really time to walk away from your executive headship? And how did you find the courage to take that step?
Oh gosh, it's the same with anybody in education. You have to have that energy and you have to have that drive because we love children, we love educating, we love learning ourselves, and we share that with other people. But you have to be active, you have to be fit, and you have to be on the ball all the time. And unfortunately, I was diagnosed with a rare blood cancer about 3 or 4 years ago, and my energy levels were dipping, and I was having to take time off for treatment and things like that. And I just realised that I was doing the pupils more than anything, really, a disservice, the people I was leading. And I realised it was unsustainable, really, for me personally, health wise. I loved my job and I loved working with children. But I decided that it was time to walk away. Part of that was actually the system in the UK as well, because the system was grinding me down. I worked with children that nobody else kind of wanted to teach, the ones that were marginalised, the ones that were excluded, the ones that had behaviour problems. And it was just getting more and more difficult. And it was time for younger people to take up the baton for that. So it was courageous for me to walk away because I walked away from a really, really high paying job to nothing. Um,
Mm,
but at first I thought it was I was a failure, but then I realized I was leading myself. I was leading myself better, and I wanted to
wow.
model that. I wanted to model that courage and that brave act before that system broke me. So I walked away. Um, and actually it was the best thing I've done.
Wow, this is amazing. This is one of the things that I always encouraged teachers, educators, any school leaders to do as well, is to find themselves. I feel that you had to go through a hard time to really get in that phase where you had to ask yourself the right question. And I feel this is what you had felt at that time. I feel so many educators, so many school leaders are facing, especially because of the system. And I believe that you have we have so much experience as educators that we sometimes forget us. We sometimes forget to build the vision inside of us. And in what I do, there is another, in my business, there is another part where I encourage educators to really grow into purpose-led business, so they can actually start creating a business for themselves, really start using their story. And this is what you've been doing, using their story, their message, to actually touch and connect with other people who can actually have the courage to do so as well. So I love your heart. I love how you actually brought your journey of hurt, of pain, and you transformed it into an amazing story. So this is what we are going to talk about next. I want you to share with the audience, okay, what is really the Become framework, because I know that you want to redefine success in education leadership. You want to prioritize sustainability and well-being and authenticity. So just share with the audience, what is a Become framework? Because I believe that any school leaders listening to us right now, they can understand that you are not just talking from I would say, any framework. You're talking from a place of transformation. So share with the audience your Become framework.
Okay, so my logo for my company, the Leadership Beacon, and my own podcast is a lighthouse. Now, sometimes that's known across the world as a beacon. So depending on where you are globally, a lighthouse or a beacon. And the lighthouse beacon stands there and shines to protect everybody. It doesn't move, it's steadfast, and it's there to say, there's danger ahead, but I will light the path and the way for you to safety. And that's why I chose it, because a searchlight is looking and scanning for problems and issues all the time. And I feel all too often in our education systems around the world, with all that survival of the fittest mentality of, inspections and holding to account, that leaders are far too often searchlights, and that searchlights aren't good things because they're used for you know uh, chasing people, or if there's an accident and they have to put something up to look what's going on. So I flipped it. I want people to be beacons. So the beacon framework is about the whole system: leaders, staff, pupils, community, parents, etc., etc., etc. The B stands for beliefs. Your inner belief, your inner script for yourself sets the tone, sets your tone. If you're grumpy and bad-tempered, you've had a bad morning, just like it would come out in a child, they wouldn't be in the right framework to learn. That shows you as a leader that you're not in the right framework to lead. So what's your belief about yourself? What are you telling yourself? And how are you showing up in the world? And the next one is E for energy. Your energy, you need to protect it. You need to protect it like your school budget, but you also need to show up with it, and you need to share it. Whatever energy you set in that room, that classroom, that lecture hall, that meeting, that's what's going to happen. What you think what you're going to get is what you're actually going to get. So if you're positive and you set that out, you're going to get positivity back. If you're negative and you put that out to the world, you're going to get negativity back. So what's your energy doing? The A of the beacon is awareness, and that links to that energy. Are you being that thermometer of what's going on? Are you checking the temperature of things? How aware are you of everybody else's thermostat and energy? And how aware are you of yourself? Next is C for connection. That is the most important thing, because all of our schools, our education places are built on relationships and connection. Children won't learn if they don't feel connected to the person that is teaching them to read, teaching them PhD physics. If they don't feel connected to that person, they will not be able to learn at an optimum value. Next, we've got ownership. Start as you mean to go on. Own that room, own that role, and project it out. Be you. Do you well and own it. Own mistakes. Own up. How can we be better as a collective?
Mm.
Analyze yourself. How can I be better as a collective? Not something to beat yourself up with, but being aware as the leader, you're not going to get it all right. And you might need to lean on somebody that's got more of an experience in a certain area. That's not weakness, that's strength, and that's owning it. And lastly, the N in the beacon word is navigation. And that links nicely to the beacon, the lighthouse. Are you showing your pupils, your staff, that path to success? Are you leading the way? Are you shining the light to get them to where they need to be? Are you navigating? Where's your map? What's your map telling you to get to that navigation point, to get to the end point of whatever it is you're trying to do? It might be as simple as the children are trying to prepare for a test, or it might be something really, really big like an inspection, or a big event, a big performance, or something like that. What's your map? How are you navigating your school to get to that goal? That's the beacon framework. B for beliefs, E for energy, A for awareness, C for connection, O for ownership, and N for navigation. And that runs through everything that I do and everything that I teach.
I love it. I love it. I feel like this is so needed because it really teaches people to connect with themselves. And when you talk about belief, you talk about owning, you talk about energy, it's all of this is like from inside out. And I feel the system is obviously putting so much pressure on us. Now it's time to really reconnect with ourselves. And once you reconnect with yourself, you're able to lead even better. So I love that. And one of the things I believe that is needed so much more in education is how to develop leaders. So many people are in place where they're managing, they are head teachers, school leaders, but they don't know how to lead because they've never been trained to understand what is true leadership. And true leadership starts with first believing in yourself, and then it will flow into your community, because when you know how to connect, you know how to make a difference. And I also believe that to create connection, this is why I have my WISE framework. To create connection, you need to be whole. You cannot connect if you are not whole, haven't dealt with your own trauma. So it's great to connect with people, but I believe there is more than just the surface is really connecting with yourself first and your trauma first. So that's amazing. I love it. I love it. So what would you say to any aspiring leaders, any school leaders who are listening to you right now, who really feel the pressure of school, this pressure of the system to stay on the course, and even when it's really impacting their health and values? What would you tell them? What advice would you tell them?
First of all, I think you're very right. Leading is very different to managing, what you've just said. And it's about that. How do you stay the course? How do you navigate yourself and others? And I would say that your health is a non-negotiable, because Western world, unfortunately, and civilization and cultures, unlike some Eastern philosophies, we push ourselves to burn out. And that's
Yes.
not one of the good things we want to be taking from the Western world. That's not one of the good traits. We better look into the East and the Eastern theologies of inner calm and managing your state, and looking after your health. You only get one shot at your health, really, and anybody that has a health scare, I think that's one of the things that that comes up time and time again. So your health is non-negotiable, so take care of yourself. And one of the questions I think leaders can ask themselves, they sometimes lead from a place of fear. What's going to go wrong? What could happen? Ask yourself this question sometimes if the fear's taking over. If I left tomorrow, what would really fall apart? And think about what the answer might be. And then you might not be leading so much from a place of fear. Build that support network. That's definitely something that current and aspiring leaders need to do to stay the course. Having a coach or a mentor is not a dirty word. It's not weakness, it's strength, because it's a very lonely place at the top as a leader.
Mm.
Have some peer support. Don't be isolated. Build a support network. That's what's going to get you through. Connect with other people. That old phrase, connect with people that have walked the walk, that know what you're going through. And have courage. Delegate. Encourage your team to lead. That's what you're there for. You're there to empower them, to help them become great leaders. And there's nothing
Mm.
better as a head teacher seeing your assistant head or your deputy head or your vice principal or whatever it is going on then to lead their own school. And you've
Yes.
supported and helped and mentored them. That is such a great feeling. So have the courage to delegate and empower the people around you to lead. And also give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to lead with integrity, lead with that support. It's not weakness. You are being a leader with integrity. You are making sure you are doing the best you can for yourself first, but for everybody else. That's what I would say. Those was the key things for me. Your health. What would really happen if I left yet tomorrow? What would really fall apart? Get that support network. Be courageous and give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to lead with integrity.
I believe that whatever you actually talked about, you have done it yourself. And you talk from a place of understanding. You come from a place where you have been using the same advice for yourself to other people. And this is amazing because you talk from a place of experience. And I feel like every leader is listening to you right now. They can really see your transparency because health is so important. As you were saying, in the Western world, we don't focus on that much. We always focus on performance, but is it really what is necessary? I think that you can still perform and be in a place of purpose and alignment with yourself. When you align, you are true to where you are in your journey and you do things with so much more fun because you know that you have been called for this. You're not doing it because you have to, but you do it because you want to, and you learn to. I don't know if there is a word called balance. It's not about, I will not think it's balance. I think it's about working from flowing from the inside out. So that's what I want people to understand. Life is, we only have one life and we need to make the most of it. We need to make the most of every season in our life and realize that when we adapt and we learn to embrace and enjoy the journey of where we are making such a greater difference because we see people from a lens of alignment, of compassion, of service. And this is what we need to see more in school. I really want the educational system to really be transformed, not just to be a system that really overwhelm and make people feel scared and fearful of what they can do better or they can't do better. So I feel we are people. We're in the business of building people. We're not in the system of performance. So I love your message there. So I know that you have pivoted to leadership coaching now, and you are really creating change outside of your school, outside of your life. So how can the next generation of leaders really shape a more compassionate and courageous future for education?
Well, just like you've said there, you touched on it's almost like we need to model the best version of ourselves for everybody else, because a lot of education and educating children, they are copying you and what you're doing and how you're showing up, and your staff will be copying you and how you are and how you show up. And in
Nice.
neuro-linguistic programming, that's called modeling, and it's modeling of excellence. And
Mm.
how do you turn up every day to be the most excellent version of yourself? And I think that's what the leaders and the next generation need to do. They must turn up as their best authentic excellent self. They need to prioritize that belonging in their school community over reliance on compliance for everybody. We have to be compliant because of legalities and laws and, value for our parents and pupils, and etc., etc. However, we need to create that community sense of belonging. And I also believe, really, really believe, and this isn't just lip service to the word well-being, because people say that and then they do something like, I don't know, put biscuits in the staff room. That's not well-being, putting biscuits in the staff room. You need, well, it's not. You
Woo!
have to put pupil well-being and staff well-being on an equal footing, because we focus a lot on pupil well-being, but we don't focus so much on staff well-being. And
Say it
I
again,
think
please.
they
Say it
need to
again.
be,
Say it again.
what, don't put biscuits in the staff room.
No, we don't
That's not
focus enough.
well-being.
Yeah, we don't focus enough on
We don't,
staff
what,
well-being.
yes, we focus a lot on pupil well-being, and rightly so, because that's our business and that's what we're in. However, if our staff aren't feeling belonging, if their energy isn't of the most excellent kind it can be, and they're not showing up every day the best they can be, our staff are the people we rely on to put that message of education and learning to our children. So they must be as equal for well-being as the pupils. Staff resources usually take up about 70-80% of a budget. They are our biggest resource. We must invest in them. I'm not talking about monetary, but you need to think of ways to put their well-being on an equal footing. Don't be afraid to change outdated systems. Ask
Mm.
yourself, if it's you're a new leader and it's, well, we've always done it like that. We do it like that because it's like that. You hear that a lot as leaders, especially going into new schools. I've changed and turned around quite a lot of new schools as going in as an executive head. And I've asked the question, why do you do it like that? We've always done it like that. Or the last school business manager always did it like that. But you ask yourself, who is this serving? Is it serving us now? Is this what we need to be doing now? But equally, don't change things that work well just for change's sake. To double-edged sword there, but definitely challenge outdated systems. Help leaders unlearn those old scripts. Oh, well, my old head teacher always said this. That might not be helpful. You might need to change things. So don't be afraid. Coaching and reflection will help the leaders that you manage, or you as a leader yourself, unlearn those old scripts that you run in your head. And also, really important, the next generation, compassion. We've got to be compassionate, make space for difference, but be courageous, hold the line on the values you hold dear for your community and your school. That's what I would say to new leaders. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And I think what resonated the most with me is about really changing the outdated system. What doesn't work, we need to think and be more effective. I feel people just do things for the sake of doing it, but is it really creating results? We don't
Yeah,
want just to do it for the sake of doing it. I see, like in so many schools, they do the same thing for years. It's all about performance management, it's about ticking the boxes, but there is no real transformation. And in addition to what you were saying, we talk a lot about, as you said, pupils' well-being, but not enough, as you said, about staff well-being. And why not parent well-being? Because when we finish in school, those kids, they go to parents, their own parents, who are even suffering in their home trying to make ends meet for those kids.
yeah,
There is no 360 program where you bring all those three
yeah,
together, the well-being.
yeah,
And this is what I feel is important. When you gain, I talk about wisdom a lot, to bring wisdom in school. It's about focusing on the three aspects: parents, teachers, staff, and as well senior leaders. So it's
mhm,
all of those three together, and
yeah,
it cannot, a school cannot operate effectively if there is no balance between the three stakeholders, because
mm,
one stakeholder will suffer more than the other, and then the change won't be there. There won't be any transformation. It would always be the same. And I feel now it's time for people like you and I to really step up and really try to bring a new awareness of how we can build the future of education differently and better. Yet the system is the same, but now we are people and we need to bring something different to make a difference in this educational system. So, last word of encouragement.
absolutely.
What last word of encouragement? Anyone listening to us right now, just give them one last word of encouragement into their journey and also into finding themselves as a leader.
Um, if you're a current leader or an aspiring leader, if you can combine all of your wisdom with authenticity, your school will become a place of growth, not just a performance factory. And I
Thank
really believe that.
Thank you so much, Anne, for being with us today. I really appreciate you. So, anyone listening to us, make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, make sure that you check out most of my programs online where I help educators to really build their purpose-led online business, and also how they can change and transform 360 their whole school community with my WISE framework. One more thing, Anne, I didn't ask you, what is a program that you're offering to anyone listening to us?
I have the Leadership Beacon, www.theleadershipbeacon.co.uk. That's my website, which is launching next week. You can contact me on LinkedIn, and Kyle. I'm on Instagram at the Leadership Beacon, and I am running programs of one-to-one coaching, group coaching, for aspiring and very senior leaders. I also offer supervision for safeguarding. I offer one-to-one and group supervision, and I also offer in-person and online staff training and senior leadership training on the Beacon framework. And coupled with that, I also have my own podcast, which I launched in the spring term of this year, called The Leadership Beacon, and that's available on all the usual podcast streaming systems. And I'm just recording new episodes to go out for this new autumn term. So yeah, that's me and where you can find me.
Thank you so much, Anne, for being with us. And thank you, everyone, for listening. We see you until the next episode.
Thank you.